Welcome to The Point. I'm Kassi Cruz. Today we're going to be talking about a subject that is very near and dear to a lot of people's heart. It's not something that's openly discussed a lot, and also ideas aren't always shared. Let's talk about religion. That's what we're going to be chatting about. And with me is Rico and Dan.
Hello.
And I was kind of hoping that maybe what we could do is start off with a definition of what religion actually means out of the dictionary and kind of use that as a springboard for us to start delving into this. Now, all of us these are only opinions that we have about what religion is and what it means to us, like you're going to have and what your thoughts are. One of the things that I think is really important is for everybody to be respectful and tolerant and compassionate towards anybody's beliefs. So as we discuss this, I hope that we'll at least have an agreement that we'll do that with each other here. Dan, would you mind reading the definition for us?
Well, in reference to what you just finished saying was, due respect is one thing, and respect in theory is fine. But if you have a disagreement on an issue, then how do you demonstrate disagreement with respect? So that is my concern with respect, because you have to express the fact that you think the other person is wrong.
And you know what? I think
that's the real challenge with religion, is that people take it very seriously. People lose their sense of humor when they need it most, and especially with religion. It's the first thing that seems to be removed when people get God, is their sense of humor. And I have very strong opinions on this issue, but it's challenging to express them with respect. So if I offend either one of you, allow me to apologize.
That's why you have no gun today.
But I also have to say that I think it's really important in our society today, and as we start having discussions and understanding what's going on with each other and listening to each other, bridging those gaps, I believe that we can disagree in a respectful manner.
I agree with
that. Means that there's no name calling. That also means there's no killing or wanting to kill and extinguish somebody because they have a different thought or belief system than you. I think that's one of the problems with, can I talk about religious war? That makes absolutely no sense to me. Anybody that's really involved in religion, to actually have a war, it seems contradictory to me, because in any religion that I've ever come across, it's about love and it's about unity and harmonious behavior within that group. I think that also means then you're going to extend the family for us to actually talk about religion. We're a world now. We're not just a nation, and we're having the communication open up. So I think that you can agree to disagree in a respectful manner, and I know that we will do that because you and I have had many discussions on this topic, and it may be heated and passionate because of our beliefs, but that doesn't mean that I have to discount what you're believing.
I find it interesting that someone can claim the mantle, claim the moniker of someone who believes in peace and love, and still have so much anger about other people who don't feel that way. It really is the nature of man. We have both light and dark within us. And most of the wars are people wanting the same thing, and even under the guise of even under guise of religious power, because the religious wars were historically because the religious institution was in power, and yet they were at war because they wanted the same thing.
You mean the two religious powers wanted the same thing,
like land? It wasn't always two religious powers. It was one religious power against something or other. And it was because the religious institution was in charge of the country. That's what made it a religious war. Because
you're talking about government and religion together rather than separate.
Rather than separate.
So really the governing
body was a religious institution.
But let's go back to that word anger that you used. Because I don't believe that anger is necessarily a negative.
Agreed.
Okay.
I agree.
Anger can be used in a constructive manner. Now, if you take anger and as Kassi mentioned a minute ago, and you use it well, I'm angry because you don't see my point of view, and you're not practicing my religion, and you're not doing as this book says that you should do, and I'm going to inflict harm on you because of that, then what you're doing is you're creating non-value with anger. If you, in the same sense, take anger and say, I am angry at the injustices that are happening within the world, whether it be religion or whatever, because I can be angry and still have respect for you at the same time. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I can argue your point. I can argue your point, and it might, like she says, it might get very heated in the discussion, but however, I can still not cross that line of respect.
Well, again, it comes down to the definition of the word. If you're angry at me, I would question why you're angry at me. Mm-hmm. And my feeling is that if you are angry, then you need growth. Then there is more growth that you need to do.
If I'm angry at
if you're angry at me,
then I need to grow.
Then you need to grow.
Okay, that's a whole other talk show. That's a whole other talk show. Because why, in fact, I need to grow?
Let me finish my point.
Let me finish my point. Go ahead.
Anger as a genuine emotion is counterproductive. Anger as a
I disagree with that.
Anger as a stimulus.
I disagree with that.
Anger is not a counterproductive. Let me finish my point.
You've already crossed the street.
Let me finish my point, and then you can talk.
Go ahead.
I've already crossed the street. Mm-hmm. Anger as a genuine emotion is counterproductive. Anger, if it motivates you to change, is productive.
Absolutely.
But that's different.
Okay, but that's
anger
what he was
as a
saying.
genuine.
So now you just contradicted yourself because you just said it was counterproductive.
No, I didn't contradict.
Are the viewers listening to me?
I didn't contradict. I qualified my point.
But wait a second. I want to just make a point real quick. If you're talking about with any emotion, which is anger is one of them, mm-hmm. there's always two sides. There's the dark and the light. Just mm-hmm. like with people, there's two sides to every person. There's the dark and the light. And we want to talk about Taoism or whatever, Buddhism, yin and yang. There's always the dark and the light. So there's always the good and the evil. They go together. It is a mixture of the two. They're the two sides of the same coin, which who we are. So you just said that about anger.
What good ever comes from anger absent of motivation to change? Nothing. It destroys the individual. If it motivates you to change, then it's appropriate.
Absolutely. So my point was earlier. But my point was earlier.
I think we're actually agreeing.
Okay, then we are on the same page. Okay, you had to go around the 405, but we're back here now. Okay.
We are on the same page because that is exactly what you were saying, and that's exactly what you meant to say too. And we were talking also semantics, and we get into semantics, which Dan is a linguist. So when we're dealing in that regard, religion's going to come into semantics a lot. And what do you really mean by that word?
Semantics is the study of language. It is the study of definitions. It is the study of meanings. And words don't have absolute meanings. Words are defined by how they're used. And words mean different things to different people.
Because it's like perceptions.
It sounds like the Washington case all over again.
At different times. That's why he was acquitted.
That's right.
That's why he was acquitted.
That's right.
Is because, and that's why we have lawyers, is because they're attempting to define language. Language is not absolute. Language is a reflection of our realities, and it is an attempt to explain our realities. Mm. So when people talk about God is love, it baffles me.
Why?
Because it is the linguistic equivalent of the equal sign. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's called the identity verb. And if God is love, why call it love? Call it God.
God might be love to some people. Let's not say that.
You're not listening to me.
I am listening to you.
Your response to me suggests you didn't understand my point.
Okay. Go ahead and make your point.
Because what is God and what is love? You can't equate them both if you don't know what either one of them is.
Well, then tell us what God is.
I don't know. It's called a tautology.
Well, then how are you going to talk about something you don't know? I'm saying some people, God might be love. Some people, they say, well, God is love to me.
I don't know what either one of those words mean.
Some people might say, well
tell me what God means, tell me what love means, and then I will understand them both.
Well, if I could tell you what love means, then we do a whole other talk show. But that's not, I don't know that. But I'm saying, I think it's more of a feeling than it is more than I think it's the word God is more, or love and or both is more of a feeling more than it is.
I understand love more than I understand God.
A direct interpretation. I mean, it's like I can't say, well, Kassi, God is this, that kind of thing, because it's going to mean something different to everyone based on what they feel. Love is going to be something
and also
different.
What they were brought up and what belief system they were brought up with and what they were taught when they were children. Those are seeds that are planted from the very beginning.
Jewish parents have Jewish children.
Well,
And that's not genetic. That's
Dan,
cultural.
But there
Jewish
are
parents have Jewish children.
But there
Okay,
are
good.
Jewish children that
What
will
does that got
grow
to do
up-
with love? They still love in Jewish families?
But they will.
You missed the point.
No, I did not
The
miss the
point
point.
is that people's religion is cultural. It has nothing to do with truth, and yet they claim it to be truth.
Oh, but wait
It's
a second.
cultural.
But wait a second. That's your opinion
Right.
again. So let's make sure we state that in everything that we talk about always our opinion.
This is
because that
Dan's
doesn't-
opinion.
Yeah, because this doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it is. Now you're talking about Jewish people are going to have Jewish children. Yes, that's correct. There are many Jewish people that change the type of religion that they practice as they grow older. There are many that do not. And there are many that also continue with those seeds and change in their perception. But let's get back to something from the very beginning. I want to talk about two issues. One is when you say God is love. I just want to quickly say something about that. Whoever is saying that, or whatever that sentence came from, whatever religion, basically it's talking about they're using a word called God that is not tangible for us to touch, and they're trying to equate it to something so people can have some kind of idea.
That is also not tangible for us to touch.
That's correct, but please let me finish. That is something that we can feel, because we do feel what love is when you love somebody. That is a word that is common to most people. That is why they're doing it. It's a general concept of perhaps what God may mean to that person who's saying that sentence to you. I'm not sure where it came from. I'm not trying to defend it, and I'm not trying to say that's what necessarily I believe, but I'm going to comment on
I'm telling
it.
you where it's come from.
Okay.
It's out of the Gospel of Mark, and
Okay.
it is fundamental to Christianity.
Okay. So, and we'll talk about that more. And I would like to just get back to one thing, and then we can springboard off onto your other tangents. Would you please read the definition, and then let's springboard into what religion means?
Sure. I don't think this definition quite explains it the way we all understand it. This is the Webster's dictionary. Religion is the man's expression of his acknowledgement of the divine. There's several words there that I don't really see how they relate to each other, but that's me. A system of beliefs and practices relating to the sacred and uniting its adherents in a community, e.g. Judaism or Christianity, and also adherence to such a system. That's religion.
Well, that's the definition of this dictionary, which also there's going to be other dictionaries that are going to have slightly different definitions. And when you get back to that, we're talking words mean different things, and it's a living language. English is a living language, and it constantly grows. You'll see new dictionaries coming out, and then there'll be 4 or 5 more different definitions, depending on how we utilize the words and what they mean to us as we grow as people too, and our communication opens up more. Now I'll put it back on Dan to talk about what he wanted to.
Well, this is what I wanted to talk about. I think religion is a set of beliefs. It's a set of practices that people are conditioned into, and it becomes a safety net. We convince ourselves that there is something outside of ourselves, and it makes us feel better.
Not necessarily everything is outside of yourself.
And not all religions believe
Not
that.
all religions believe that. I'm a devout practicing Buddhist, and by the principles we use in Buddhism, we definitely practice the fact that everything is inside of you. It is not outside of yourself. In fact, what happens is, the real truth about the matter is that everything outside of you is a reflection of what is inside of you. So therefore, if you take the responsibility, this is the key word where folks have trouble sometimes. When you take 100% responsibility for your life, and you start making those changes with it. There's a song. What's that song? Man in the Mirror.
Yep,
they
by
made?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Man in the Mirror.
It's easier said than done. When you look inside that life, when you look inside your life, and you take 100% responsibility, then what happens is that when you make this change inside, then it's mirrored outside. So Buddhism says, take total responsibility for your life. Which means do something to raise your own life condition so that the choices that you make are based on a higher state of life, and then you will see that reflected in your environment. Not go fix your environment and, Dan, you shouldn't wear that shirt, and if you did, I wouldn't be looking at you funny like I'm looking at you today, that kind of a thing. It wouldn't make any difference what you wear.
Well, I have a couple of issues based on the statements you just made.
Okay.
And the reason my issues are so firmly, the reason my position is so firm is because Kassi and I, my sister and I, have had lengthy conversations about this. Your religion, you chant to an altar.
No, we don't chant to an altar.
You chant to a Gohonzon.
Right.
It's an altar.
No, it's not an altar. The altar is what the Gohonzon's enshrined in. If you're going to get technical, let's get technical.
Semantics again, and it's a very important thing because we're talking about having a discussion.
So that is outside yourself.
Well, the Gohonzon itself.
It's a mirror.
But the Gohonzon itself.
I don't want to discuss this. You also talk about.
Wait a minute. Oh, hang on now.
I don't want to get semantic about.
We're not going to get semantic
about what your altar is.
But I know.
But you're bringing it into play.
But you brought it into play.
Your altar is. But you're going to give me.
I'm going to give you
gobbledygook.
I'm going to give
about what your altar is.
I am going to give you the definition between an altar and an object of worship. There are two different.
An icon.
No, it's not an icon. See, that's another thing.
That's an object of worship.
No, it is
an
not.
icon.
But that's semantics again, because
I'm not suggesting that you're worshiping the altar.
No, the Gohonzon itself, the scroll that's enshrined inside the altar is nothing but a reflection of your own life.
It's a piece of paper with writing on it.
It's right. That's everything that exists within inside of you. So it's not exactly. You're not even so much chanting to it to like.
It's a piece of
like
paper
rubbing the magic
with writing
lamp
on it. Until your religion eliminates that, I will not accept that your religion is internal.
Okay, let's take it a step further.
I will not accept that.
Okay, let's take it a step further.
It's a symbol,
well, wait a minute. Let's take it a step further. Because if I give you a $100 bill,
just as a cross is a symbol.
If I give you a $100 bill, and I said, well, I'm not going to accept that until y'all change it, and just give me all your $100 bills. I got a feeling you'd grab on to them $100 bills.
I have no idea what that metaphor means.
Well, what I'm saying to you is that the power is only. You're saying it's only a piece of paper.
Right.
And it only has writing on this paper.
Right.
The writing on the paper gives the paper power. In other words, there's a difference. There is a difference between a $1 bill and a $100 bill. There's a difference between a $100 bill and a $1 bill.
Greenbacks
you might not be so mad if you lost a $1 bill.
Greenbacks are worthless if merchants won't accept them.
Absolutely.
Because our government has guaranteed their value against hard goods.
Let me ask you a question though. How about books? It's writing on a paper. On paper, it's words on paper. Wait, let me finish my thought. It's words on paper that you're reading that change you because it expands you in your mind and your thoughts, and you become enlightened. That's what enlightenment is about. It's turning on a light. It's not changing who you are. It's discovering that, turning on the light, going, oh, this is all of me. It's my responsibility. It's the mirror, the man in the mirror kind of situation.
Your Gohonzon is sacred.
Because it's in you.
It's a box with a piece of paper in it.
What is written
outside of you?
What is written in the Gohonzon exists in you. It could not be written if it didn't exist in you. When Nichiren Daishonin inscribed the Gohonzon, it was everything that the human being absolutely possesses themselves. It was nothing outside. It wasn't like this, something like this, woo, and it came down like Allstate people and it landed in your hands. It was like it was written. It came out of your life from his practices of practicing the Lotus Sutra, of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. This came out of his life. When he reached his enlightened state, he said, wait a minute, this all exists in every human being. These conditions that I feel, the hurt, the bad, the low life condition, the high life condition, the 10 worlds between hell, hunger, anger, and animality, all the way up to enlightenment.
I have no
all
quarrel.
These exist.
I have no quarrel with the philosophy of Buddhism. Of all the religions that I've read about.
But we're not talking about the philosophy.
We're talking
about what exists in you. We're talking about what's in you.
And that is the psychology and the philosophy of the religion. And I have no quarrel with any of that.
That might be what you believe, but that's not what it is.
I have no quarrel with any of that. I have a quarrel with the ritual. I have a quarrel with most of the rituals of all religions.
Okay.
And the ritual is to chant some Chinese phrase in front of a box with a piece of paper in it.
So then what is your ritual?
And to me, that's ludicrous.
So then what do you do?
I have no religion.
Oh, so then you're religiously not practicing a religion then.
I
bet you wish we could go to commercial on that one, don't you? Yeah. Mess with me.
The other point you made was 100% responsibility
Absolutely.
for your life, and no one is 100% responsible for their life.
Why?
Why
because
not?
that eliminates the possibility of being influenced by others. If I am hit by a stray bullet, it is not my fault.
But then why were you hit by the stray bullet?
Chance.
Chance?
You don't accept.
Or was
You
it
don't
your
accept.
karma?
You don't accept
Was
the
it your
reality
karma?
of chance.
You don't know what you did. Okay, let's take it a
So
step further.
something
Let's
I
take it a step
did
further.
in a previous life that I don't even know about, I'm going to be punished for.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You don't know what
That's-
you did.
that's ludicrous.
But you don't.
That's
Why is it ludicrous?
That
Why?
is as
Why is it ludicrous?
That is
Why
as,
is it ludicrous?
I'm telling you.
Okay, well, tell me.
You have to shut your mouth long enough for me to speak.
I don't want to
For me to answer your question. That is as ludicrous that all of humanity is being punished for Adam's sin. It's ludicrous.
Okay, let's back up for a second because neither one of us said anything about Adam, so you brought that into play. But let me talk
I'm
about.
comparing the two.
I ain't got no
know.
problem with Adam.
You know what? You are comparing
Adam
the
did
two,
what
and
any
they're
other
not
man would
really
do.
a comparison, Dan, because I may not necessarily believe in Adam, and that Adam is necessarily have some kind of relationship with what's going on with my life right now. Now, I will say that I have no idea, because in our minds, we're not necessarily equipped to know all of the lives that we have led and all of the things in Buddhism, and I do believe this in reincarnation. I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that I've been here before. There's things that are similar or common or that come up and you go, wow, man, this, and like people, you connect with people, and that you are around the same type of people, like perhaps maybe one lifetime they'll be your brother, next time they'll be your sister, husband, mother, child, many different types of relationships.
I know you was my wife in my last lifetime. I know you were.
I mean, these are all
baby.
possible. But can I tell you that I know for a fact anything, and can they be proven by science? The answer is no. The only thing is do we feel it inside? Does it make a connection? And does it make sense
And why is
inside?
my question becomes, why is it important to you to believe that? Why does it make you feel better to
believe what?
that? What is the benefit
Who
of
said it
believing?
made him feel better?
I'm changing the question.
Okay.
What is the benefit of believing that?
Believing what?
In
Karma?
reincarnation.
To believe in reincarnation?
Yeah. What is the benefit? How does it improve your lives to think that you are now being punished for things that you didn't even know about?
Hey, you know what? I can not only be punished, but I can also be rewarded for the wonderful things that I've also done in my past life, because it's a baggage of both the things that you've done that are positive and the things that you've done that are negative. That's what leads us to, I just want to finish a point, that's what leads us to our next life and how we're going to be brought into this world. My next life, somehow, if I may be brought into this world in a very poor third world country by somebody who cannot take care of me, and my fate might be that I'm going to die after a year because of malnutrition. Perhaps I didn't do a very good job in my last lifetime to actually get myself there. Or, wait, you can keep saying ludicrous, Dan, but please.
You sound like Mike Tyson.
Or you can also say that I was maybe brought into that world to help the person that I'm going to die, that's taking care of me, that I'm going to. I'm sorry.
There's a lesson to be learned.
There's
right?
a lesson to be learned, and that could be my gift. You can think of it as a punishment, or it actually is my gift to somebody else that I may love to help them learn and grow.
So in other words, your perception.
Okay. So anyway, go ahead.
I am horrified that some religions, yours included, believe that children who suffer somehow deserve it.
No,
but I just said
No one said
that is not necessarily the case.
You're talking about the law, the universal law of cause and effect.
Right.
So if these children are suffering, therefore they must have done something to deserve that suffering.
And they might have also chosen it, and you don't know that. These are things that we can't comprehend, Dan. Now, either you're going to get beyond the semantics of like saying, oh, gee, you chant to an altar in a box.
That's not semantics, Cass. That's fact. And that there is nothing.
It's
there is
symbolic.
nothing beyond semantics.
And it's also symbolic of what perhaps I may do to make amends, or also to be able to have a space for myself. I've created a space, a loving space for me to get in touch with myself, to go, oh, if I'm not happy, guess what? It's my responsibility I'm not happy, and I need to change that. Just like everybody else in the world needs to look at their own self to figure out they must be doing something that is creating the unhappiness. You can say, if this person was only nice to me, if I got a better raise, if I had more money, if I was a famous person, then everything would be fine. But that's not true. That's not the way life is. You have to create happiness within, and you have to find out what am I doing that is causing me to become unhappy, so you can then change that cause to create happiness for yourself, because we all want happiness. That's what religion is about.
It goes back when I joked about it a little while ago. It jokes back when we go back to talk about Bill Clinton, and he got off this thing. He got off, on this chart. Well, got off. We
have to start wrapping this up.
Got off is like that's what got him in trouble in the first place. But anyway, if he doesn't become clear about what got him into these situations, in other words, he has the karma to get into these entanglements. And if he doesn't clearly realize what gets him into these entanglements, and he's going to continue to make the same causes over and again, whether in office or not. And so he clearly put himself in this situation. Because had he kept his pants up and she stayed down there where she was supposed to be filing papers or whatever she was supposed to be doing at the time, then he wouldn't have been in this mess.
But this is ongoing behavior on his part. This is his responsibility.
His karma.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is,
had he taken responsibility in the first place,
I agree with you.
I did not have sex with that woman.
I agree with you.
Then he would have. That's what we're talking about.
I agree with you that we are responsible for much of our lives. We are also responsible for our own state of mind and for our emotional state. But we are not responsible for every circumstance. If I get hit by a stray bullet, I'm not going to be happy about it.
No.
I will accept it. I will deal with it. I will overcome it.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to learn anything from it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Why won't you?
Because I was hit by a stray bullet.
But you might learn from something else.
What am I going to learn?
It might be another
If my child dies, I will accept it, I will deal with it, and I will overcome it. But I'm never going to be happy about it, and I am not going to learn anything from it.
How are you not going to learn something from it?
Because I've already accepted death. That's how I'm going to deal with it.
I don't know. I think
what else is there to learn?
I've experienced.
What else is there to learn?
I've experienced tragedy in my life, and I've definitely learned from it. You're going
to learn that same lesson.
Maybe.
What else is there to learn from the tragedy?
But Dan,
to accept tragedy.
The tragedy to myself was to expand my state of life.
And you've done that.
So then there's something to learn from it, then, isn't it?
So next time.
You just said there was nothing to learn from it.
I said now, from here on out.
But Dan,
when tragedy happens again,
we've got 1 minute.
You're going to learn again?
Absolutely.
We've got 1 minute.
It'll be
to
a
wrap
different
this up.
lesson. Each time it's going to be a different lesson.
If you're talking about,
then we'll agree to disagree. But there's
accepting tragedy and accepting death, you can't relearn that.
Wait,
you either learn that or you
it
don't
might
learn
not
that.
be that tragedy. That's the lesson, though, Dan.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, my brother.
It might not be
that tragedy.
Then you're talking about a different lesson.
Right.
Well, we're talking about lessons.
I'm talking about human suffering throughout the world. And you guys are suggesting that the universe controls it and decides cause and effect. And I disagree.
The universe controls it? We do.
It's a law.
It's just
cause
a law.
and effect is a law. Cause and effect is a law. It's like a law of gravity.
Okay.
You're suggesting that it exists outside of humanity then.
No, I'm saying cause and effect is very part of humanity. Cause and effect.
But you're suggesting it exists
let's stop for a second. Hello. Rico, would you wrap this up?
I can't wrap none of that.
Okay, because we're going to have to actually...
I'm all wrapped up right now.
Do you want to wrap it up or you want me to wrap it? Okay,
Dan,
why don't you wrap this up because we got to get going. And thank you very much for joining us in this heated discussion. I don't even know if we even got to even get into what we were really trying to talk about.
I love Dan. That's all I want to say.
We do. We need those kind of people. Go ahead, Dan. Hurry up.
We're all friends here. We all care about each other. I respect and appreciate Rico's intelligence, his compassion for humanity. I love my sister. I would do anything for my sister. And yet, even under those states, we fight, we argue. And I can understand. And I really don't have any great opinions. So even under those circumstances, we fight, we hate each other.
We do not.
Thanks for coming.